guys, welcome back. So good to see you here again. My name is Kelsey. I'm Kelsey Yogi here on YouTube and on Instagram. So fun to be practicing with you. Today it's going to be all about the splits, getting that length through the legs. All right, so if you have a block, go ahead and grab a block. If you don't have it, no big deal. You don't absolutely need it. And then the other tool that I'm going to be using is one of these resistance bands. I have just tied a knot so that I get this little loop in each end. And again, this isn't necessary, but I just really like it to help build some strength through the legs, because once we've gotten them really strong, they tend to lengthen for us a little bit nicer. So I am completely cold. I haven't stretched out at all today, so I will be doing this in real time with you guys, hopefully getting a nice good stretch myself. All right, so let's just start off in downward facing dog. We're just getting some length through the backs of the legs. Now, if your heels don't touch the ground in downward facing dog, it's not like a deal breaker, but it sure does help. So root down through your heels, activate your quadriceps. So lift up your kneecaps in order to find the length through the backs of your legs. I'm gonna pedal out the legs one at a time. Now I'm keeping my head lifted so that you can hear me, but please drop your head in, relax your head and neck. And we're just walking on our dog. So as you pedal from one leg to the other, that's called walking your dog. Maybe even bending both and lengthen. All right, so let's start right away with lifting up that right leg. We always start the right side first. So we're actually getting a good stretch on the back side of the left leg, but the right leg is lifted. We like to start with the right side first here in yoga. So really find length, point your toe, get that length, and then draw that right knee in towards your belly as you shift forward and step up. Lower your back knee. So we're already in this nice deep lunge here. This is a really great place to begin your stretch. So not only are we getting this deep flexion through the right hip, which is really important, we're also getting really good extension through the left hip flexor, which we do not do enough. Since we're walking around all the time, our hip flexors are always working and they really need the lengthening. So this, you may find, is where you have more of the issue than it is through the hamstring. But it might be the opposite. You might have really tight hamstrings. If you sit at a desk and you don't really get to lengthen that side of your leg much, you may have an issue more with the back side. So if you feel any sharp shooting, deep, sharp pain through the back of the hamstring, especially where it attaches near the butt, please stop. Please back away from it. I don't want you to tear a hamstring. All right, so as you've been here a little bit longer, let's work it a little deeper. Let's start to shift forward a little bit more, feeling something deeper through that right hip and a little bit more through that left hip flexor. Challenge yourself. Try not to just, hanging out here like it's nothing. If you don't push, if you don't really engage, you're not going to get as much out of it. All right, and then let's kind of switch this. So we're going to sit back on the left heel and straighten out the right leg. In yoga, this is Ardha Hanumanasana, so that half splits. Hanumanasana, monkey pose, which is the full splits, and Ardha meaning half. So we're just working half. Right now we're getting that flexion through the left hip and all this length through the back side of the right leg. Make sure that the toes are pointing back towards the face. And really trying to fold over that right leg. Now, if you're way up here, that's okay, but still keep length through the heart, through the spine, reaching chin towards the shin. All right. So I kind of like to go back and forth, so back into that lunge, back into the half splits, a little deeper each time, forward again, deep lunge, maybe this time coming all the way down onto the forearms, kind of in a low lizard lunge. Make sure that you're squeezing that right shoulder in towards the right knee, and back again into that half splits. All right, So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to use my resistance band. So now that I found a little bit of a stretch already, I'm going to add a little bit of work. So I just put an ankle through each hole. Again, like I said, if you don't have this, no, I just broke mine. Shoot, I broke it. All right, so we'll be doing it without the resistance band. How about that? All right, so we're coming back to that downward facing dog. Bring your left foot to the center of your mat and lift the right leg up and really find a good stretch. Now you can see if I had the resistance band, I'd be working this right leg. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna work the right leg as we lift it up and away. Finding these little pulses. Staying strong through the shoulders and the upper back. Let's keep reaching through that right leg. A few more times, just like this. All right. Now let's come back into that deep lunge. If you had a resistance band on, take it off. I don't like to start with that because I feel like it's a bit too intense without stretching out the muscles first. Sit back into your half splits, forward into your lunge. Maybe this time we find a little bit of a twist as we rock to the pinky toe sides of each foot, stretching out the SI band, the side of the hip. Keep that left hand down for balance. Really feel something a little deeper. All right, now let's work on finding the splits on the floor. So we start working our right foot away. If you're on a really sticky yoga mat, it can make things hard. And we start to work the left leg away behind us. Now, you may feel some resistance here, so move slowly. As you slowly let your hips come down towards the ground, let your muscles lengthen. Now what can be hard is keeping this back leg straight behind you. It wants to kind of roll out to the side. So like I was saying, the hip flexors can get really tight. So for me, that's more of the issue. If my hamstrings are pretty good at lengthening, I have to really work at stretching out the hip flexors. If this is too much, you could always take your yoga block and kind of hike it up underneath your left hip. Give yourself a little bit of a lift. Of course, if you needed it higher, there's multiple lengths that you can use the yoga block for. Or maybe you want a little support. You could use it to help kind of keep yourself lifted off the ground. And know that this is not going to happen right away. I had to work my splits for a good solid year or two before I was all the way down. And once you find this place that's a bit uncomfortable, we have to kind of breathe in and settle there. And let go of what it is that we're holding on to. So maybe it's in your jaw or your shoulders. For me, it's that left hip flexor, but maybe it's your right hamstring. If you're not feeling sharp shooting tearing, then see if you can breathe into that sensation and slowly start to let these things go. All right, go ahead and roll onto your right hip. Swing your left leg all the way around. Let's take a forward fold. Fold over both your legs. Suck your low belly in and just really start to draw yourself in. So if you need a strap, use a strap. If you've got a really deep stretch, you could always use your yoga block here. I might grab mine. I need to go farther away. And you can use that length to just pull yourself in a little bit deeper. Like I said, there's different lengths, so you can keep working it further and further away from you. So I'm going to work a little bit more in my splits. I needed a little bit of a break. I'm going to come back there. So if your leg is still not quite down, I want you to go back to just that typical regular splits on the floor. See if you can sink in a little bit deeper now. If you already have your splits, maybe we work our over splits. So that means getting a little bit of height on that front leg, or maybe the back leg, or maybe both. So I'm gonna put my right foot, my right heel, up on this block. And start to slowly work that left leg away. Now, almost all the other versions of splits are harder than being down on the floor. So if you're talking about flying splits or standing splits, they're all a bit harder because we have to fight with gravity, whereas here, gravity is helping us do the work. So always work that lowest form of splits first, down on the ground, before you try to take it up in the air. All right, so now we've been here in our splits, we've got a nice good stretch going on. Let's work a little bit with the flying splits. So with flying splits, we're gonna come into that low lizard lunge just like we had before. So I turn so that you can see what happens with my leg. I'm gonna step that right foot forward. I'm gonna come into this low lizard lunge with my elbows down on the ground, and I'm gonna walk my shoulder underneath my right arm. So you want your arm as deep underneath your leg as you can get. And from here, bring your hands down, start to push the floor away. See if you can just straighten out that right leg. Sometimes that's the hardest thing, is to just get that leg to extend and straighten. So if we stay right here and you just work on that straighten and that point, that's perfect. You're ready for a little bit more. Get that shoulder under there deep. Straighten out that right leg. Bend the elbows in, shift forward. And see if you can float both legs up in these flying splits. And then of course the last version, which for me is the hardest, is the standing splits. So if you have stall bars, you could practice with the stall bars first or on the wall. I'm just gonna go for it. So we kind of start with first having a forward fold. We fold over our legs standing. Chin towards chin, low belly sucking in. And then we start to lift that left leg. So because the right leg is in front in the splits, we're working the right side first. We keep the right leg on the floor, and we lift that left leg up behind us. And right now, if you just keep your hands down on the ground and you work on finding that balance, sometimes that's the hardest part, is finding the balance with just one leg down. But as you're ready for a little bit more, what's most important with standing splits is that we work on the forward fold of getting our chest closer to our shin on the standing leg. Don't worry so much about the lifted knee leg yet. So just think about chin towards shin. Really drawing yourself in with the strength of your upper body. Like I said, we're fighting gravity here. So I have to really use my arms to draw my chin towards my leg. I'm not even worrying about that lifted leg yet. As this gets a little bit easier, and you've done this more and more, then you can start to focus more on not just the forward fold, but also finding length through the back side, that lifted leg. So really pointing that toe, extending the leg up, thinking about spreading the toes as far as they can from each other. You have to really, really engage all the leg muscles. So we find length through the hamstrings by engaging the quadriceps, engaging the calves, pointing the toes. It's a lot of effort, it's not just this big stretch. So let's go for it one more time. Think about chest towards the shin or chin towards the shin. Really focus on that fold, and then extend through the toes. Reach as high as you can. Use the strength of your arms to draw yourself in. Once that gets a little easier, allow yourself to shift forward. So staying back here towards the heel won't work. I have to shift forward into more of the arch or the ball of the foot. I almost feel like I'm falling. When I get my best standing split, I almost feel as if I'm falling over that standing leg. Point and reach. Okay, so there's the right side. Let's start working on that left. All right, back into that downward facing dog. Lift that left leg this time. And step that left foot forward. Hopefully, for you guys, like me, this is the easier leg. But if not, then we learn to be patient and enjoy that ride. So first find that deep, low runner's lunge. Really focusing on that flexion through the left hip, sinking the hips down towards the ground, and then really extending through that right hip flexor. Hands can stay down on the ground to give yourself support, but really focus on the hips. Focus on deepening this posture as much as you can comfortably. I'm trying to almost drag that right hip forward and down towards the ground while still reaching through those back toes as far as I can. Now let's shift that. I'm going to tuck the back toes, sit towards the right heel, straighten out that left leg as I bow over this left shin, flex the toes back towards the face. That way we engage the entire back side of the left leg. Now if I point the toes, I'm asking all the stretch to come from the top of the hamstring, which is where most people tear, and it takes a very long time to heal. So please, in the beginning, right now, flex the foot back towards the face, engage the entire back side of the left leg. And hopefully avoid any major tears or even minor tears. They're no fun. So after we've sat here in Ardha Hanumanasana, that half splits, let's kind of shift forward and backward, back into that low runner's lunge, drawing yourself in a little deeper, a little closer to the ground. And back on that right heel, half splits. Again, let's go forward. And backwards again. And this time when we come forward, let's go in a little bit deeper in a lizard lunge. Maybe the forearms can come down. Keep squeezing that left knee in towards the shoulder. Find a little bit of a deeper space. All right, back up on the hands. Let's do that little twist here. So bring the weight into the right hand and turn to the pinky toe sides of the feet. So really getting that good stretch through the left hip and all the way down that right SI band. Okay, back through center. All right, so if you were gonna put your resistance band on, which I don't have anymore, feel free to attach it on both ankles. And then let's lift that left leg this time. So right foot right in the center, lift your left leg, and let's start to pulse. Little lifts, not only opening up the left hip flexors, strengthening the back of the right leg, bringing a little weight into the shoulders, into the hands so that you're strong here. Keep all the muscles engaged in your leg. So I like to do that by pointing the toe. I don't want the foot just flapping around. That's more likely when you're going to hurt something. So keep the muscles strong and engaged. A couple more. All right, nice. All right, so let's work on those splits now. Step that foot forward, come back into that low runner's lunge. Kind of working your way forward and backward, helping the muscles to slowly lengthen. And when you're ready, start walking that knee away. Splits are all about length and engagement, softening with control. So, hard on these sticky mats. Slowly. I don't like to just jump into it For one, I'm 40. I don't want to tear things. I have tore hamstrings before. It was a good 6 months. It was a good 6 months of babying that hamstring. And it's just not fun. So slowly work your way into it. Don't just jump down. Extend that right leg back behind you. So really find length through the right leg. If this is easy for you, then maybe you come down a little further onto your forearms. Okay, so now let's take a little break. You don't want to stay there too long and hurt things. Kind of let the muscles just soften, sitting on your shins or sit on your booty, however it feels good. Now that we found some length, let's just see if we can take it a little bit farther. So if that was hard for you, feel free to just work the same position that you were just in slowly. And this is one of those things that you have to come back to again and again and again. And maybe not every single day, but like 3 times a week, 4 times a week, you have to keep lengthening those hamstrings. They like to shorten, they're a very strong muscle, so they're going to go back to contraction, to shortening. And if that's not really what we're going for with splits. So if you have your over splits, go ahead and grab your block. If you don't, you could use your block to sit on. I'm gonna try to find a little bit more length because like I mentioned before, splits are always the easiest, even if they're not easy, they're always the easiest on the floor. We have gravity helping us, wanting us to come down to the earth. There's always that sweet spot of where does it feel best to have the heel supported. It's kind of something you have to just play with. Again, strong legs here, so we're not just completely flip-flopping into this. Muscles are engaged, especially through the quadricep. So if we want to find length through the hamstring, we have to engage the quadricep. Very nice. Okay, come all the way to that left hip. Let the right hip come over. Both legs are out in front of you. Let's take a nice little forward fold, stretching out both legs again. Feel as if you can pull your femur bones, the top, the big bones of your legs. Feel as if you could pull them back into your hip sockets. Suck your low belly in as you fold, and then reach your ribs up. So pull your ribs up with the strength of your inner body, diving them over your tops of your thighs, folding over your legs. Soften your shoulders away from your ears, folding over both legs. All right, now let's try to find that flying splits on the second side, on our left side. Okay, so we're gonna start in that low lizard lunge. Kind of down dog. Step that left foot forward, lower the back knee, and then come down onto the forearms. There's your lizard lunge. Settle in, get kind of cozy here, and then we're gonna start to kind of nestle ourselves underneath this left leg. So tuck the back toes if they're not tucked, lift that back knee and start to climb the left arm underneath the left leg. Has to get under there pretty deep. You get the shoulder under, even better. Now again, like we did on this first side, we're gonna just try to push the floor away, lift that left leg and extend it out in front of you. Let's do that a few times. Don't get that shoulder under there deep. Lift the left leg, extend. There's a little shift forward. You have to keep pushing out of the hands and the shoulders. All right, let's try it again. Lift the leg, point the toes, reach. Maybe you shift forward and fly. Really reach through both toes, long legs. Okay, upward facing dog and downward facing dog. All right, now here's that real challenge, the standing splits. We're almost done. All right, so both feet are together. I find that forward fold. My hands are down for balance. Now we're gonna start to lift that right leg up. And right now, All we're really focusing on is a deep forward fold over that left leg. You can see I keep inhaling for length, exhaling for depth. Inhaling, getting a little longer, exhaling, folding in a little bit more. Because that's really where the focus is. The focus is the fold. And remember, when you really want to find the most depth through your standing splits, you really have to start that shift a little forward. For me anyway, when I find that place where it's like, whoo, there it is, it's perfect. I'm almost out of the heel, into the arch, maybe a little into the ball of the foot. I'm really folding forward and shifting forward into that foot. Little spooky, your hands are down, right? So you have balance. Trust that standing leg. Lifting my ribs away from my pelvis and then folding in, chin towards shin. Arms are strong, and then there's that shift. Oh, there it is. My arms are gripping the ground. And then from here, too, with your standing splits, there's always more that you can challenge yourself to do. You can work on bringing your hands in closer and closer to your foot. Maybe you grab the foot with one hand, typically the hand that you're also balancing on that leg. So if you're balancing on your left leg, you'll probably grab your ankle with your left hand. And maybe you even get to the point where you're so good at your balance that you can grab the ankle with both hands. Yoga always gives us something more to work on. We're never done. We're never done. And that's okay. That's kind of where the journey is supposed to lead us, a little further and further. And hopefully you find joy in the journey and not just only in that final pose. All right, so let's see if we can play a little bit with that, especially now that I'm on my good leg. I know I'm a cheater. So you get that deep forward fold. I'm gonna use my right hand for balance and my left hand's gonna grab my ankle. Still, I'm focusing on the fold. Maybe even can get that right hand in line with the left foot. Point the toe and reach as high as you can. Whew. I'm feeling a little bit more in my left hamstring than I am my right. So I'm gonna go back and do my right hamstring again because we always like in yoga to find that balance. So if you need balance too, where you're like, my right leg is still tighter, my right leg is always still tighter. I'm gonna work my right standing split once again. Really reach through that top leg. Straightening out the knee as much as you can by pointing and reaching into the toe. And there you have it. There's a little practice to help you find your standing splits. Maybe you tried your flying splits, and certainly we have the splits down on the floor. If you're not there yet, please be patient with yourself. Don't tear your hamstring. Don't do it. If you're at home, which I'm guessing you are, put a pillow underneath your hips. Give yourself some height. Work on it on your mattress, on your bed where you feel like you have a little bit more support. Use your hands, put your hands down and really use that to kind of slowly allow yourself to deepen into the posture. These things are not meant to be rushed. But once you do have this splits practice, come back to it again and again, a couple of times a week, and before you know it, you'll be sinking a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper, and then splits will be no big deal for you, especially if you do it at the end of your practice when your muscles are nice and warmed up. They've already been activated, and they have that length to them. The end of our practice is a great time to work on splits. Let me think, is there anything else that I want to include? No. But please, be patient with yourself, enjoy the journey, and know it doesn't matter if you ever reach splits or not. What matters is just that you're opening your hips, you're finding more space, and you're being good to your body and enjoying it. So please focus on that. You guys did amazing today. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I love practicing with you. I'll see you again very soon. Namaste.